10:40 now. The Daily Telegraph columnist Allison Pearson is facing a police investigation for allegedly stirring up racial hatred in a social media post last year.
So Allison claims that two police officers called at her home on Remembrance Sunday to inform her that she was being investigated.
When she questioned it, the officers would not tell her what she's done wrong, allegedly done wrong.
It's a nightmare, isn't it? We are now joined by journalist and free speech campaigner Brendan O'Neill. Morning, Brendan.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Despairing, actually, that we live in a country where police officers can knock on your door on a Sunday morning because of something that a journalist posted over a year ago, to be told you're being investigated, but not being told what you're being investigated over, specifically what the tweet was that she posted. Just your assessment of this insanity, Brendan, please.
Yeah, it's despairing and it's terrifying. Older viewers will remember a place called the German Democratic Republic, otherwise known as East Germany. And it's like something out of East Germany, when the Stasi police force would often knock on journalists' doors or knock on writers' doors and artists' doors and interrogate them for saying the wrong thing or thinking the wrong thing. That we have police officers knocking on a journalist's door in Britain in 2024 should send a chill down the collective spine. It is horrendous. It is an abuse of power. It is an assault on freedom of speech. And it runs counter to all the principles of natural justice that Allison Pearson can be questioned like this without being told who her accuser is or what she supposedly wrote that was so offensive.
What should the police have done here, Brendan? Should they be involved at all?
Absolutely not. I don't think the police should be involved in anything to do with freedom of expression. We all know that whatever it was that the police are asking Allison about, whatever tweet it was, we know she didn't say anything racist. I know Allison. She's a good person. She doesn't say things like that. So this is someone who is taking offense at something that is probably inoffensive. And, you know, the problem we have in Britain now is we live under a tyranny of the easily offended. People who are scouring the internet morning, noon and night to look for something to get upset about. Now, that's their own prerogative if they want to waste their lives doing that. But the worrying thing is they can now call up the cops and have them knock on your door for causing them to feel offense. So this tyranny of the easily offended is a real problem now, because it's not just sad people at home crying over the internet. They can actually get the police to come around to your house and question you and interrogate you and potentially arrest you.
The policeman said to Allison, when she said, "Can you give me my accuser's name?" he or she said, "It's not the accuser, they're called the victim." And she said, "OK, well, you're here to accuse me of causing offence, but I'm not allowed to know what it is, nor can I be told who I'm being accused by. How am I supposed to defend myself then?" Do you think, Brendan, that this kind of complaint system is maybe potentially better organised than it might appear?
You know, I think their unwillingness or their refusal to tell Allison who the accuser is, to me, that's one of the most sinister elements of this. Because if you don't have the right to know who your accuser is, that is a Stalinist system. Yeah. That is a system of just finger pointing, where any random person can just point a finger at you, accuse you of causing them to feel offense or to feel alarmed, and then you could be interrogated by the police without ever knowing who that person was. What were they offended by? It's so, as Allison says, it's really Kafkaesque. But, you know, this system that we have in Britain of this kind of hyper-policing of speech. And let's not forget that many people are questioned by the police almost every week in this country over things that they wrote on the internet. It's become an industry in the police force. You know, they are now better known for policing the tweets than they are for policing the streets. You know, burglaries often go uninvestigated, but some off-color, un-PC joke on Twitter must be instantly investigated. So it's a real diversion of resources. And my view, you know, this idea of the non-crime hate incident, I find that chilling and terrifying, because call me old-fashioned, but if you haven't committed a crime, then you should not be having the police at your door. The police should only come around if a crime's being committed. Too often they don't come around when a crime's been committed, and they do come around when someone has just said something that someone else found offensive.
That was a Conservative policy, though, non-crime hate incident, wasn't it? Wasn't that under... Why do I feel... Who pushed that through? Do we know?
Well, it just seemed to have evolved. But, Brendan, there's also the irony that they are turned up on her door on Remembrance Sunday when we honour the fallen, the men and women who fought to stop us being overrun by fascism from Nazi Germany. The irony that they arrested her on that day, it struck me immediately, and her too.
Absolutely. I mean, what a thing to do, well, on any day of the week, but on Remembrance Sunday, when, as you say, we are commemorating the millions of men in Britain and other parts of Europe who gave their lives in the fight against fascism, who gave their lives in the fight for freedom, so that future generations would have the freedoms that other people, sadly, in the past were denied. To do it on that day, a day that is fundamentally about commemoration and liberty, is the icing on the cake of this whole terrifying situation. And I think the police really need to have a word with themselves, change their policies, and government needs to change policies too, to make sure that no journalist ever has the cops knocking on their door like this again.
Absolutely. It sets a terrifying precedent.
It really does.
Thank you, Brendan O'Neill there. There was all of those arrests, weren't there, in the wake of the Southport riots? And they were just, let's face it, normal people. Some of them would consider themselves to maybe be, you know, independent journalists. They were arrested. Some of them went to prison for the things that were written online at that period of time.
They wrote stupid things.
And some of them were inflammatory. But I remember thinking at the time, well, they'll go for those people because they're not journalists. As soon as the police start knocking on the doors of journalists, then we are living in East Germany. Well, guess what? They are. And apparently everything has changed.
So this is a statement from Essex Police, who say this report relates to a social media post which was subsequently removed. An investigation is now being carried out under Section 17 of the Public Order Act. As part of that investigation, officers attended an address on Sunday, November the 10th, to invite a woman to attend a voluntary interview on the matter. I'd have said, thank you, is it a voluntary interview? I'm not doing it.
No, you would. Right, let us know your thoughts this morning. gbnews.com/your say.